Gardner, how are you?
Hey, Erickson, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Good, good, good. Enjoying the day, man.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today and share your knowledge with our audience.
Of
And
course.
of course, I talk about your experiences and your journey. So to get started, can you give us like a background as to like where you grew up, where you went to school, what you're currently doing, what is your 1 year plan?
Okay, okay, yeah, definitely. New York, born and raised in Washington Heights,
Okay.
24th and Wadsworth. Uh, Went to school, undergraduate Penn State, Bachelor's of Science in Business
Okay.
Administration, minor in Information Systems and Statistical Analysis,
Okay. Okay.
which sounds like a lot, but it was a great program, great education, had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Met lifelong friends, joined a fraternity, everything you could do in college,
Right.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Probably a little too much, but I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
After that, I started off well, let me step back a second. My senior year,
Yeah.
I said it was either Wall Street or Main Street. I knew that there was a significant amount of students graduating with me,
Yeah.
and I had to specialize in order to separate myself from the pack. So I decided Main Street. I took one intro to real estate class. I loved it,
Okay.
and decided that was going to be my path.
And what year was this?
So I graduated 2004.
Okay.
So after the first tech bubble burst, which
Yeah.
was '99,
Right.
instead of becoming a stockbroker, I went to college, and decided that real estate was going to be my path. I chose real estate for the same reason sometimes people choose finance. There's no ceiling.
Right.
So a lot of your success and both financial and philosophical, right?
Yeah.
It depends on how much work you put in.
I agree.
So I said, you know what, sky's the limit. Let me go and do this. Came back home to New York. Worked for a property management company,
Okay.
mid-sized property management company. Great experience. Then went on to work for a specialized construction firm,
Okay.
owner's rep firm. Probably again best in class.
Okay.
Mid-sized offices. Never really worked for large companies. I preferred the autonomy.
Right.
I preferred being close to the principal, which helped.
It makes sense.
Which helped.
They both have their pros and cons.
They both have their pros and cons. I was very fortunate in that the individuals that I worked for were always highly invested in my success.
Okay.
So all the principals, all the senior staff at the places I worked were really focused on making me a success, which made a difference. Downturn happened. I was in grad
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
I started graduate school. Literally September 2008.
Okay.
So the world is melting, right? Everything that could go wrong was happening, and I went to get my master's in real estate development at Columbia University.
Okay.
Great experience, amazing experience, amazing platform, amazing instructor staff, everything that I could have hoped for. So now what I do is I own and founded Paper City Investments,
Okay.
and then subsequently Paper City Real Estate, which focuses on multifamily development, mainly in Jersey City.
Okay.
So I've been between that and investment sales, selling large scale multifamily projects. That's kept me busy for the past 5 years.
Yeah. I definitely see it, man.
Yeah. So thankful things are going well. Really excited about the scaling up the business. Right now, we took the Paper City team and moved them to Keller Williams Commercial.
Okay.
To scale,
Yeah.
essentially, to be able to scale off that platform, and it's been going really well. It's been going really well.
So it's been like you've been in real estate almost your whole career.
My entire
Going
career.
from an agent to a construction company, and now founding Paper City Investment and Paper City Real Estate.
Yes.
Can you differentiate the difference between Paper City Investment and your Paper City Real Estate?
Yes. So Paper City Real Estate is essentially a brokerage firm.
Okay.
Right, which I am principal, and which we're scaling up agents to eventually buy a Keller Williams office.
Now, for those people that are not familiar, can you define what's a principal in the brokerage business?
Oh, so principal. So I was a broker of record at Paper City Real Estate.
Okay.
Which meant, the buck stops with me. I was doing everything. I'm completely in charge of the agents below me, which includes training, just kind of watching, making sure that they're in compliance, and then I'm the rainmaker, right? So it was my firm. It was
Okay.
my firm. Usually the term is broker of record.
Yeah.
Um, so that was Paper City Real Estate. Paper City Investments is really a holding company for Paper City Real Estate, and then a lot of the other things I get into. So I tend to be more on the entrepreneurial side.
Okay.
So right now we're looking at licensing. I have a small art collection,
Okay.
which will turn into a viable business. We're creating the $5 Success Club,
Okay.
which will be scaling and selling internationally books on success, where we're making very expensive books and hard to find books relatively inexpensive. I think being and moving other people towards success
Yeah.
and giving and helping has created success for me. I think I've been very, very fortunate in that the individuals that have helped me in my career, and I think that paying it forward and giving is the absolute path. If you're not helping somebody out, you're not doing anything. Um, so we have that, and eventually we'll get into film, which is a little further
Okay.
out.
Okay.
But Paper City Investments is basically an alternative investment holding company, with real estate being one of those, and then going into other asset classes, other non-traditional
Yeah.
asset classes like art, precious metals, intellectual property.
So Paper City Investments can own other
Right.
assets, other businesses at some
Right.
point.
Think of it as a Berkshire Hathaway.
Right.
Right. As opposed to owning significant portions of operating businesses, it will own just purely assets. Just purely assets. So
Okay.
and it's kind of like my fun house, right?
Yeah.
So I get to, obviously responsibly, right?
Right.
But I get to experiment to a certain extent with the projects that we bring on, because Paper City Real Estate essentially pays the bills.
Right. It has a more like an entrepreneurship route
Right.
because you're able to invest in different things, hold different assets.
Right. And I enjoy it. Paper City, actually, the name of Paper City is.
How does that come about?
Yeah,
That's
it's an
also a
interesting
good question.
story.
Yeah.
Paper City is the nickname for Holyoke, Massachusetts,
Okay.
which is a small town. Well, not so much small, but it's a small city in Massachusetts,
Okay.
and it's where I had my first client. So I get out of grad school, and this gentleman, Miguel, who I love and hope he's doing well somewhere. I think he's retired or semi-retired.
Yeah.
He bought a property many years ago when he was in foreclosure, and he said, "Gardner, you deal with real estate." I'm like, "Yeah, I came out of grad school. Yeah, of course, I'm Mr. Real Estate, whoever, and I need you to help me." Why this is important is because Miguel, he's ran a dry cleaner as a master tailor,
Okay.
and gave me my first job delivering dry cleaning at 12 years old.
Okay.
When I wanted to make a couple bucks, and
Yeah.
he was focused on keeping us busy and out of trouble,
Yeah.
gave me the chance to deliver clothes for him, and I will be forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
And that led to me trying to help him get this thing out of foreclosure. We were a little too late with it, unfortunately, with the property, but me helping people with their real estate problems, more so me helping individuals specifically with their real estate issues, led to a philosophy, and that's why I chose the name Paper City. And the colors on Paper City, the logo designed by my cousin James Ambrose, who's a super talented brainiac, welding somewhere. He's either on a plane or welding or biking somewhere. Who knows what he's doing? But they're very similar to the Monopoly colors, very primary colors.
Okay.
Because it's a game, right?
Yeah.
Four houses, one hotel.
Okay.
This is the way you do it.
Got it.
It's no mystery.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything is based on something that happened to you, or
Yes.
an experience.
Yes. I've only lost one game of Monopoly.
Okay.
My entire life.
gotta-
Fun fact, right?
We gotta play. We gotta play once. Yeah.
I'm gonna beat you.
I was actually playing on Saturday.
Okay.
With my brother.
Okay.
I won, so.
Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty good. And the one game I lost, I threw it. It was a young lady, right?
Yeah.
So
Alright. Okay. So you mentioned that you incorporated a business that's usually outside of the traditional route.
Right.
Most people, they go to college, they go out to a job, they probably go back and get their MBA to come back into the corporate world. That's
Right.
and with the traditional 9 to 5, you took a different path. You
Right.
started your own business. So at that point, what sorts of finances did you use?
Well, there was, I guess, two parts to it, right? So I knew very early on that I enjoyed working in office and I had a lot of success in offices. But after the downturn, after I got out of graduate school, my grandmother and my uncle were both diagnosed with cancer at the same time. So I helped them with their journey, right? I knew that working a 9 to 5, I would not have been able to do that. So that just immediately put me in a more of an entrepreneurship, looking for that financial freedom, looking for that kind of autonomy. Graduate school, I cashed out what was left of my 401k,
Okay.
and paid cash, took loans for the other half.
Yeah.
Lived very small, right? Coffee and bagels.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not willing to make those kind of sacrifices,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work for you, because there may be even unlimited funds available to you, but if you're not willing to make small sacrifices
Yeah.
in your personal life to succeed, you're going to have difficulty somewhere. But after you get over that, you hit a certain level of freedom, a certain level of pride,
Right.
and it really makes the wins bigger.
Yeah.
The second half of that, Paper City Real Estate, when I started in Journal Square, I did take on partners.
Okay.
I essentially sold 15% of my business, 15% for a cash advance and some sort of, I guess, mutual negotiation, right? Where we could kind of work with each other, and it makes sense for a while. It started to make less sense after a while, which happens in partnerships.
Yeah.
Partnerships are essentially, marriages on paper.
Yeah.
So enter into them with understanding and clarity, right? Like marriages, they don't always work, right?
Right.
Okay, so it resolved itself amicably, thankfully. Everybody's friends, everybody still talks, right? I wrote a check,
Yeah.
and bought them.
Okay.
So now I own 100% of Paper City Real Estate. I then took Paper City Real Estate, its branding, its logo, the team, and myself physically to
Right.
Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Paper City Investments is still 100% mine.
Okay.
Eventually my kids will get it, and
Yeah.
my wife eventually will. She'll get a check, right? And hey, that's the way it worked. I borrow.
Yeah.
There's no difficulty in borrowing money. It's giving it back that's hard.
Right. And you borrow from traditional banks?
No, I borrowed from people in my industry, from clients.
Okay.
So a large part of what I do is investment sales.
Okay.
So
Can you explain that?
I sell typically single tenant retail buildings or large multifamily buildings.
Okay.
Either all multifamily or buildings with housing over retail, mixed use buildings.
Okay.
So I've done that for a period of time in Jersey City.
Okay.
And one of my clients who was very pleased with my work,
Yeah.
right? I had done a couple transactions where they had done well and I had done well.
Yeah.
And everybody, it all kind of worked out. They saw it in me to invest in my success,
Okay.
which is testament to what I was doing,
Right.
which I was very grateful for.
Yeah.
And that's the way it kind of worked out. So if you have any of your listeners
Yeah.
that are looking for capital, just keeping good at what you do.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a professional and you're honest, and people will see that, and your sources of capital beside friends and family could be one of your clients.
Yeah.
Whether that's on an institutional level,
Yeah.
or if it's something, if you work at a gym and you're selling memberships and then you decide to go and either open your own gym or start a clothing line or start a product line, one of your first dollars could come from someone who's had a great interaction with you.
Yeah.
So just remember that,
Right.
while you're conducting
Yeah,
business.
of course,
Yeah,
It's a relationship business.
It's
You build the right relationships.
right. Real estate is very relationship heavy. It's very, I say, the SEC regulates the stock market, commercial real estate regulates itself, right? So it's very relationship heavy. Dishonest people don't get very far.
Yeah.
People with honesty and integrity do.
Right.
So it kind of weeds out the crazies.
Yeah.
But if someone is in that industry or any other industry, just continue to do well, and sources of capital are always around you. But don't be afraid to ask. They came to me with the opportunity, but never be afraid to ask someone if you think.
need the funding. Now, for someone that wants to enter the real estate industry, either
Sure.
as an investor or working as an agent or starting their own business,
Right.
what piece of advice would you give to an individual like that?
Okay, so in every industry, especially real estate, there's a learning curve. So the quickest way to shorten that learning curve is to immerse yourself.
Yeah.
Books, podcasts,
Right.
talking to people, reading every magazine and every article.
Yeah. Is there any specific books that you recommend to individuals
For real
that
estate?
you have read that have influenced the way you think or the way you approach deals?
Okay, so that would be, there's very separate, right? There's two
Yeah.
separate questions.
Right.
So I always tell people my favorite book, and I gift it often, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
You're going to hear that.
I read that book. It's really good.
Right.
Yeah.
So that put me on a path to understanding, and put me on a path to, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And once you start to remove that doubt, things happen in a very real way. Also, Awaken the Giant Within, by Tony Robbins,
Yep.
another life changer, right? It's really, you're removing this fear, you're focusing, you're ripping the ceiling off your potential. I would say in terms of real estate, there's a book by Frank Gallinelli, and I know I'm going to butcher the title.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
fine.
he was one of my professors at Columbia. We love Frank. The 36 financial measures in real estate, something. Frank Gallinelli,
Yeah.
2 L's, right? Amazon, they have it. It helped me. I didn't come from a finance background.
Okay.
So it helped me understand the finance behind real estate.
Yeah.
I understood operations and construction.
Right.
I needed to understand finance, and this was one of the things that helped.
Okay.
Also, ULI has several books, but two on the business of real estate development.
Okay.
One's a brown cover, one's a white cover.
We're gonna get all these details and just put on the notes.
Sure. So that helps you understand what real estate is, what the business of real estate is.
Yeah.
Because most people see, you buy a property, you flip a property, their understanding is very broad, and there's a lot of nuances in real estate. It's not only being an agent. It's, if you're an investor, you could invest in malls, you can syndicate deals, you can, there's 100 ways to get in. And then there's a finance textbook by Bergerman and Fisher. That's like, it's, our securities analysis.
For like stocks.
Right. That's our, yeah. And then, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Anything written by the head of the real estate department at Wharton, and I forget his name, and he's unbelievably famous, and we'll put in the notes.
Yeah, of course.
But he's a prolific writer, and just, you have to take in information. Real estate is local, the application is global. It's about, I don't know something, how do I get a mastery of it in 60, 90, 120 days?
Like for those individuals that are not a big reader and they want to find another way to learn, what else do we recommend? You mentioned podcasts is one of them.
So podcast, YouTube.
Yeah.
Listen, take full advantage of YouTube. There are several, and we'll be launching one at some point. There are several channels on YouTube, but it's really just immersing yourself. Real estate and real estate finance is a language like any other one.
What is your take on the real estate license for someone who wants to get in as an investor or work in the industry for a few years? Do you see the value in it?
I do. I do. I think, let me answer that too.
Like, what benefits would it give our audience from like getting the license? Will you have access to the MLS system,
Right.
which is like the place to actually like search for like residential deals
Sure.
primarily?
Sure. If you're coming out of college
Mhm.
and you are looking for extra income, that's one benefit to it. The classes are essentially real estate law classes.
Okay.
They're basic real estate law classes and classes on fiduciary responsibility.
Right.
So depending on what state you're in, there's a certain amount of classroom hours. You might not want to see another textbook or classroom
Yeah.
after you graduate, but it's 75 hours, 150 hours depending on where you are, and it'll give you an understanding of real estate, and it'll give you a small network of other people in the class. With that said, if you live in a market where there's rental opportunity or opportunity to flip houses, you can make yourself extra money.
Right.
You can make yourself an income. If you're looking to invest, it could be a way to get in and get large chunks of money.
Okay.
Real estate commission can range from 2.5% to, let's say, 5%
For an agent.
for an agent
On
of
the
a
residential or commercial side?
both,
Both.
both, or 2.5 to, let's say, 6%
Okay.
commission. So depending on the size of the transaction, it could be $5, $10, $15,000 that you didn't have last time,
Right.
which will allow you to get into investment a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It's also a good way to get deal flow because you're figuring out how to find deals, you're figuring out how to turn deals over and put deals together,
Right.
and could be a way in.
Yeah.
Not for everybody.
Right.
Not for everybody. A lot of people who hold their license are part-time. There's very few crazy people like me that decide to make a career out of it.
It's actually passion.
Passion.
If you have that passion. And
Passion
that
is a
drive,
better word than crazy. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's but if you're coming out of school, it doesn't hurt. It
Right.
doesn't hurt. It's a good way to spend a couple bucks
Yeah.
and get another marketable skill and a good way to make a little extra income.
Right.
I would suggest, yeah.
We got to take a slightly different angle and go back to your experience owning your business.
Right.
What has been one of your biggest deals that you have closed
Okay.
recently?
So recently we just closed a
You can
building.
describe like the actual journey and the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just closed a building in Brooklyn,
Okay.
3.456 million.
Okay.
Uh,
How big was the building?
20, I believe it was 23 units
Okay.
in Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Great deal. Great deal. I was representing the buyers,
Okay.
which were clients of mine, previous clients of mine.
Yeah.
The situation was the family had a broker who had taken advantage of them. They had borrowed significantly on the asset,
Right.
weren't able to maintain payments, had some vacancies, so they were in trouble. The asset was going into foreclosure.
Right.
The agents or the agent that was representing the seller contacted me and said, listen, this is the situation. I know you do commercial. They had a relationship with the sellers. They knew I did commercial. They knew I was in the business.
So that was one of the things that you mentioned earlier, that deals come to you when you have a good
Right,
reputation.
right. So it's reputation and specialization, which is something we could talk about a little bit.
Right.
So they came to me, and we were able to get a significant offer very quickly.
Okay.
Partly because Brooklyn's a very hot market, partially because this buyer was ready to move. They were already in the market. They already had $250 million in real estate.
Yeah.
The smart guys, very active, ready to move. And we were able to work through the deal. Some of the ups to the deal were that we were doing it for a family.
Okay.
right? It's not a corporation.
Yeah.
So that's a big heart stuff, right?
Right.
You're helping someone who needs the money, who wants to move on with their life, who wants to retire.
Yeah.
Very important, right? That's why we're in this business,
Yeah,
right? That's
of
the good,
course.
the feel good stuff,
Yeah.
right? Uh, the second part of that was it was difficult because it was a mom and pop operation.
Okay.
They were first generation, the American dream, able to build themselves up and create this asset, but there were the paperwork wasn't there,
Yeah.
or there were some things that had been neglected. It wasn't it's not a company, it's a family.
Right.
So we were able to work through that. It took a little longer, and it took 9 months to complete the transaction,
Okay.
which is somewhat typical of commercial. Commercial
Yeah.
can take longer than residential projects. And at the end, I think it all worked out. The buyers got a good asset that they can then go and add value to,
Right.
and then the sellers were able to, extract some value, extract some
Right.
equity, and not have the whole asset just go to foreclosure.
When you say to add value on a commercial property, what does that
So
refer
so
to?
adding value on especially on multifamily.
Mhm.
uh, Often buyers will come in and do construction, or if there's late payments, they'll go after arrears, actively.
Okay.
Where someone, there's a small family, might not have had the resources to hire a lawyer to kind of chase people down.
Right.
They'll do construction, they'll turn over units, they'll paint, plaster, brand new kitchens, update,
Right.
update heating, the type of things that'll make a building much more valuable.
Yeah. So it's creating value to tenants and
Creating value to tenants,
Yeah.
creating value and economic value, right?
Yeah.
You're raising income.
society as well.
Yeah, because now you have an asset that's like almost like a trophy asset,
Yeah.
right? So where it was just kind of a building on a block,
Mhm.
now it's got these great apartments. Now the lobby's done. Now the heating, everything. So you have the tenants win, and then the owner wins, the landlord wins at that point. Yeah, so the value add is a big thing in real estate.
Yeah.
Where if you're the smart guy, you've got a couple bucks.
Yeah.
You can use that to create value in an asset,
Right.
which eventually have a higher resale value.
You mentioned something about specializing in
Yes.
a specific industry or niche within real estate.
Yes.
Can you elaborate more?
Sure. I think one of the issues that a lot of younger people come into after you graduate school
Mhm.
and you have this great education
Right.
and you have so much opportunity, right? You can design autonomous vehicles. You can, buy and flip two-family homes. You can do all these things. Make your universe smaller.
Yeah.
That's always, if I write a book on mentoring, it'll probably be the name of the book. Make your universe smaller.
Got it.
Create.
We'll be on the lookout for that one.
Oh yeah. And next year we'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, put it in the notes.
Create a framework for what you want to do. That way you can specialize. So I could say, I love to sell buildings. I love to sell multifamily buildings. Let me sell some in Jersey and in Kansas and in Oklahoma and in California.
Yeah.
And I would spread myself entirely too thin and not really dominate one specific market or
Right.
dominate one specific asset class. In securities, people focus on industries.
Yeah.
So if you're going to come in, focus.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to make the learning curve smaller and shorter. And it allows you to really master your edge of the universe, right? Your corner. Right? If you're going to buy and sell houses, buy and sell them in a specific area. Because what happens is, as you start to really dive deep into that area, your level of understanding of pricing and network and all the players involved and who's at the building department and how much it costs to sheetrock a bathroom and all of those things, you create a sensitivity to it. So you're able to make decisions and choices that benefit you in a shorter period of time. right? Warren Buffett said it only takes me 5 minutes to read an annual report. It took me 85 years to get to, or 50 years to get it to 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you're able, I can talk to you about Jersey City.
Yeah.
I can talk to you about
Because
New
that's
York.
your market.
That's
where
my
you're
market. I have a sensitive, I understand it very intimately.
Yeah.
Like you want to have an intimate understanding of your industry and of the section of the world that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like it's been quite a journey, and you have to learn a lot throughout the years.
I get. You would say, yeah, I could say that.
Yeah.
I could say that. Yeah.
What is your definition of success?
Freedom, happiness, a little bit of both.
Okay.
A little bit of both. If you can wake up, be thankful for waking up, which you should be grateful, and you know, just go through it, get it, you know, get it and be happy. Like there's no bad days. Like there's zero bad days. I can't, you know, I've watched people pass, right? You see social ills destroy individuals, cultures, areas. You know, you watch war, right? Thankfully, I haven't seen it firsthand. You know, there's no, right? There's nothing. Every day, you know, if someone steps on my foot on the train, it's like whatever. You know, I'm thankful. It's happy, freedom. You know, and you work towards financial freedom, and you work towards having an impact. You know, how many lives can you touch before your number is called? You know, and that's you know, that's it. Like it doesn't get any more difficult than that to me.
Yeah,
at least.
right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you know now that you wish that you knew when you got started in the industry?
Oh man.
Just one thing. Just
One thing. One thing.
Just one thing.
Jump.
Like, what does that mean? Jump.
Jump. Do it.
Just go on track.
Just, you know, you may be more or less smarter than the person sitting next to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's plenty of books out there. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the lessons, good or bad, we're in the doing. You know, I would say jump, and then pay attention.
As usual.
Pay attention because you'll jump and you'll fail or not fail or whatever, or some, you know, some strata there. There'll be, and you know, pay attention to the lesson. Nothing bad ever happens to me.
Yeah.
It's always, what's the lesson? What is this trying to teach me? Yeah. And it keeps me from going off a cliff. Yeah. You know, something happens, something, you know, financially, you know, business-wise catastrophic. What is this teaching me? And it keeps you from thinking negative. It keeps you from the pity party. It keeps you from, right, just, okay, this happened. Right. Pull the facts out of it. This happened. Am I dead? No. Am I bleeding? Right, I'm okay. Yeah. What really happened here? And what are the facts? If you pay attention to that, your process of learning is gonna speed up. You take the chance, especially if you're young. Right. Take it. What's the worst that can happen? Right. The worst that can happen is you'll get a job and work for 50 years. Yeah. Right? Right. And retire and get a gold watch and live in Florida somewhere, right? But try it. Yeah. You want to cut an album? Try it. Try it. Take a weekend. Right? Take a weekend, throw $100 behind it. Like, you never know. Right. You never know if that spark is going to lead to something else. You never know if maybe that's your calling. You never know. You know, in your 20s, there are no mistakes. Yeah. You got it. I agree. Yeah.
Guys, so as we wrap things up,
Sure.
where could people find you if they want to learn more about you, look at your, learn more about what you have done through the years? Maybe you have a website that you want to share with people.
Sure, sure. Papercityrealestate.com
Okay.
is the website for the real estate company. We're slowly adding. We've got a blog on there. We're
Okay.
starting to be a little more active. I know Paper City Real Estate also has a YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're definitely getting a little more active on there.
Okay.
And then Paper City Investments is the holding company which deals with now large scale investment development,
Okay.
and we'll be adding tombstones. Yeah,
Tombstones.
as we start to roll the rest of the companies out,
Okay.
and brand identity, and then so you'll be able to see everything
Got it.
on there.
We're definitely gonna add that to the notes of the show,
Okay.
and then just share it with people, and then they could connect with you through LinkedIn as well.
Sure. Gardner Rivera,
Yeah.
at Gardner Rivera on LinkedIn. I sometimes I'll get, I guess notes for mentorship, and
Okay.
my advice is pretty much the same. Like, stop being scared. The opportunity is right next to you. Just go.
Just go.
just go. Jump.
God, it's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you for
so
sharing all
much.
your insights, and hope you guys enjoyed it and have a great time.